Excellent. So we're going to get going. My name's Stephen Payne, and I work with schools across Western Australia, and I help schools do more with technology. So whether that's using Microsoft 365 for admin or administration, I do a lot of work with Minecraft. I did a Minecraft coding workshop this morning, which was lots of fun. And all these wonderful places being typed in the chat. I can see lots of places I've visited and places that I'd like to visit. So thanks very much for joining us. I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview about what you can do in AI with tools that you already have. And also just highlight some of the things that have been added recently. So I am going to kick off now. So we're just going to look at what the world is like today. We know things are changing really quickly. I think just a few years ago, with the pandemic, there was a big investment in time, particularly with technology, and we were able to weather the disruption of the pandemic. And then in the last 18 months, I suppose, AI has kind of been appearing in lots of different ways. I've been using AI in Microsoft tools. I've seen it in other web tools that I use, and Canva and Magic School, and lots of different tools popping up that we can use. And I thought I'd just go right back to the beginning and talk about what AI is. I won't spend too long on this, but what we're talking about here is just the ability of a computer or machine to work in a way that normally would have thought to require intelligence. So AI has been around for 50, 60, maybe more years, but it's only really in the last 18 months or so that it has been able to generate new content, or generative AI has really taken off in the mind of everyone, really. Whether you're shopping on Amazon or writing an email, you're seeing generative AI there to help you. So it can create new content. You can write emails with the assistance of AI. You can write something and ask generative AI to make it better or make it more suitable for a different audience. And how it does this is by looking at what's already out there. So it has taken and it's learnt and it's built up a knowledge of lots of different topics, and it makes a probability or a probabilistic determination of what you actually want to do and what's coming next. So you can ask it to continue a story for you, or rewrite a poem, or those sorts of things. We're going to look at some specific examples of using AI as a teacher and as students in the classroom. Today, that's the focus of this session, but it'll be great just to find out who on the call has actually used AI. We won't talk because there's so many of us and we want to get through quite a lot today. But rather than talk, maybe you can type in the chat, how do you currently use AI? Have you used AI to create a marking rubric, or to write a letter to a parent, or to research a topic, or to come up with new ideas? So if you've used AI in your role at school or college, just type into the chat what you've done, and hopefully people can learn from each other's experiences. Oh, fantastic. There's some great ideas coming through already. Brilliant. We might need to explore some of those later, but yeah, excellent. So there are lots of opportunities for your organization to use AI. This term already, I've worked with managers of corporate services, I've worked with teachers, principals, deputy principals, and used AI for teaching and learning, for research, for rewriting for a different audience. And if you just look at those numbers there, this is from a study last year of an education audience. 72% of people don't have enough time to get the work done. 77% would use AI if it helped preserve their energy levels. And 56% are concerned there's a big learning curve to using AI. So I'm hoping that what I share with you today are some great resources that you can pick up and use straight away, and also some resources where you can go and learn more. So lots of opportunities for AI. So a quick history of AI. So really in the 1950s, the field of computer science started, and immediately people were talking about thinking machines or computers with brains. And it was really in the late 50s that machines were able to learn from existing data. And then that was just being built on over time. We had in the 2000s computers being able to beat grandmasters at chess and Go and that sort of thing. And then fast forward, I told you it was a quick history. Fast forward to 2021, when generative AI really came to the fore. So this is the type of tool we're going to look at today with Copilot, ChatGPT, being able to create new content, being able to rewrite, and being able to kind of have a conversation to get exactly the answers you want. So that's really what we're looking at today. So what can it do? A lot of things. And I'm just looking down at the chat, and a lot of this stuff has already been said. Writing poems, translating, virtual assistant, lesson planning, helping with writing, being able to create images. And just in the last few weeks, there's been some really great developments released on creating video content as well. So there's a whole lot of tools that you can use. So it's basically limitless generation with a few lines of input. And we're going to look at some of the best ways of getting the most out of AI as we go through this session. So I'm going to focus on Copilot today. The reason for that is I did a session with Solutions IT back in November, and just as I did that, the name changed, that Microsoft's chat bot, from Bing Chat Enterprise to Copilot. And this is now available to all education customers for no extra cost. So if you're licensed for Microsoft 365, you have Copilot, which has the latest chat and image generation software included. It's currently available for teachers, not for students, although I have been told to watch this space. So at the moment, the tool we're going to look at today is just for teachers, but there are other tools that you can use with students as well. So I like to think of Copilot as a new way of searching. When we first started learning to use search engines, we were kind of taught to distill down to the key words. So keywords, plus signs, minus signs, those sorts of things. And we kind of generated a way of searching. Copilot or AI is kind of a new way. We're having a chat. We're asking in conversational language. The language that we use is the language that we will get back. So it's the new way to internet. That's what I like to say. So whether you're using a computer and you're typing things, or you're using a phone and you're speaking, you'll be able to get responses in the way that you want and custom answers that you want. I'll show you some examples as we go through this. Why are we using Copilot? One, I like it because it's free. I'm already paying for Microsoft 365, or your school is, or the Department of Education, or wherever you're working. But you get the latest versions of GPT, and DALL-E for images are included with this, so I don't need to pay extra to use them. It's transparent about sources. So if you want to go and explore further where it's got information from, it shows you all the websites where it's got its data from. It's also up to date, as well as being able to search the whole body of the large language model that it's learning from. It also searches the web for updated news articles and changes and that sort of thing. So there's no knowledge cutoff. And this is the great reason here why I like to use Copilot. It doesn't save what I write, it doesn't save the answers, and it doesn't use them to train the AI model. So you will notice that some of the apps that are available are taking everything you type in and everything you get in response and using it to train others. So if you were to put in an essay or an email that you'd written or you'd received, that may be used. But with Copilot, everything is secure, nothing is saved or reused. So that's a really great thing to know, is particularly when you're using this in schools. So there are a number of different ways you can use Copilot. For today, we're just going to focus on copilot.microsoft.com, which is the main web address. If you log into that with your school email address, you are protected. Everything's private, and you get access to the latest tools. So I'll show you what it looks like when you log on. Similarly, there is now a Copilot app for iPhone and Android. This just came out at the start of this year, I think. Yeah, just right at the start of term, actually. The mobile app was released, so you can log in with your work email and all of your data is secure. So we're going to get started now. I'm just going to kind of show you what it looks like. I'll show you a few examples that I've seen in schools recently. So when you first log on to Copilot, I'm just going to see if I can zoom in here. Let's see. Here we go. So when I first log on to Copilot, you'll see this green button in the corner that shows that you're protected. Once you've got that, you know you're using the latest version and everything's secure. There are some suggested prompts in the middle. So log in with an education account, you get things like write a template for a 5th grade reading log, or make notes about a particular curriculum area. And you then also have these conversational styles. So you can choose between creative, balanced, and precise. So creative, I always use that to start with. Creative on the left always gives me, uses the most power. It uses the latest versions that Microsoft has access to via OpenAI. But it can, sometimes, we have to always check our sources. It can sometimes hallucinate or fabricate. So if you want only facts, you're going to click on precise, and that will just give you facts. It won't kind of get all fancy for you. Balanced is great in the middle. It kind of will generate new content, but mostly accurate. But if you totally want facts, like you want a list of all of the tallest mountains in the world listed in height order, you don't really want Copilot making up mountains or bringing in mountains from films and books. So we'd stick with precise and we'd get precise answers. Whereas if we wanted to invent a new mountain that's going to that suddenly appeared in Hillary's boat harbour, so you're going to create something brand new, imagine something new, then we're going to go into creative. The other thing that I'll suggest down here is this new start a new chat. So I use Copilot quite a lot, and generally when you're chatting with Copilot, while it doesn't save your responses, it is having a conversation. So if I ask a question, give me an idea for a year 7 science lesson on frogs. And then my follow-up question should be following on from that. If I then start asking it about rewriting an email to a parent or researching historical figures, it can get confused. So if you're changing the topic, just click new topic and it knows that you're using a new topic. So that's kind of the screen there. Just ask your question. You can also speak. So if you're not typing or you don't have access to a keyboard, you can just type, and you can do that on a mobile phone as well. So I'm just going to give you some common education requests. So these are ones that I see when people start using AI, and particularly Copilot. Create an outline of a particular book. Whatever book you're doing, type that in and you'll get an outline. List ideas for a science lesson about aerobic respiration. summarize the key events of the Gallipoli landings. So really simple here, design a lesson for teaching about fraction to decimal conversion for year 8. So those are just some examples of starters that you might want to use. But what I always say is the more precise you are, the better answers you're going to get. So give the Copilot information. Start with an iterative prompt. So tell the Copilot either who you are or what persona you want the Copilot to be. So we might say, if you say you're a year 11 science teacher, then it knows its answer is going to be tailored to you. Or you can tell Copilot you are going to take on the role of an astronaut with who is currently on the ISS, and then you can ask questions about what's actually happening there. Tell the tool what you want it to do. So don't just say, give me a science lesson. Say, these are the objectives. You can even type in the lesson code from SCARSA. I've done that on a number of occasions. Who is the content for? And finally, set limitation and direction. So if you want things, that are, you might be writing an email and it has to be under 1,000 words, or you're writing something, an outline for a PowerPoint, and you want 10 slides. Tell it exactly what you want, and it will keep to those limitations. So I find that a really useful tool as well. And also, if you don't get the response you need, ask a follow-up question. So that's something that I always do. So, give you a couple of examples here. You're an experienced physics teacher. So there is me giving the persona. What types of motion can be explained using Newton's law of motion? Give me 3 great examples to share with Year 12 ATAR students in WA. So I ask this question and I get a response. So it's telling me about projectile motion, orbital motion, and frictional motion, and then it gives me examples of those as well. What it always does as well is suggest follow-up questions. So if I zoom in here, you may not be able to read it on your screens. It's saying things like, what's the difference between mass and weight? Can you explain the third law in more detail? How do these laws apply to sports? So it's suggesting follow-up prompts. So I can just click on one of those and it will elaborate for me. So that's an example there. I've given it details. I haven't just gone to a search engine and said, what is Newton's laws of motions? I've been more specific. I've given an age group, and I've also mentioned the WA curriculum. And this is one where I'm asking Copilot to take on the persona of a historical figure or a fictional historical figure. So you're an Australian soldier on the Gallipoli Peninsula. You've just landed at Anzac Cove. What's your name? What do you see? What are your feelings? Make sure the conversations support Year 8 students to learn about Anzac troops in the Gallipoli campaign. So I've just put that prompt in and I've got a response where Copilot is looking at different reports from the past. So it might be reading diary entries or publicly available newspaper articles and so on. And it's then it's made a character called Private James Martin, and it's giving me responses. It's coming up with what they might be feeling, where they've come from. And then because we've asked for Year 8 students, it's saying it's important to understand not just the military strategies and battles, but also the personal experiences. So it just gives you more information. And again, you can follow up questions to get different answers. This is one I've used or similar, where I found an activity that I want to use online, and I've asked Copilot to kind of rephrase it. So I do a lot with Minecraft in lots of different areas. And so I found a really great build challenge on the Minecraft website about creating a satellite. So I didn't want to just kind of use this empty world. I wanted to get the students hooked on this lesson. So I've put a bit of background. I said I want to use this world because it's got resources in I want to use. I said the class groups are in year 6 and they're studying space science. I've got 60 minutes. I'd like you to write a simple challenge in a single paragraph, inspiring them to investigate the topic before they build with Minecraft. And I'd like them to work on their Minecraft buildings as individuals. So then Copilot just comes up with a paragraph. Young explorers, your mission is to embark on a journey by constructing your very own satellite in Minecraft. And then it asks questions. What mysteries could your satellite uncover? How will it navigate the celestial sea? You have 45 minutes to create not just a model, but a dream of the future. Aim for the stars and let your imagination soar as high as your satellite will travel. So it gives me a prompt that I might use with students rather than just giving them the world and the lesson plan that's available on the website. So it's always great to kind of, I like it to take something that exists and look at it in a different way. Another example here. This is something that I quite often do. I ask for sensible and outlandish ideas. So what Copilot suggests as outlandish might give me another idea. It might take me in a different direction. So I've said I'm running a 40-minute session on wellbeing for primary school teachers. Can you suggest 2 sensible and 2 outlandish activities? So the sensible ones are mindful breathing exercise and a gratitude sharing circle. A little bit boring. So let's go on to outlandish. We've got a superhero pose off and dance like no one's watching activity. So I might kind of incorporate both of those. So it's quite good for if I'm stuck in a particular method of teaching something or exploring something, I can come and approach it from a different angle, which I think is quite useful. It's also great for images. So with Copilot, there are some ready-made prompts when you log on, and you can also search by image. So you can take a photo of something you've sketched on paper or something on the whiteboard and ask Copilot to interpret it for you. You can upload photos. If you upload a photo of a person or people, it will blur their faces. So you can't kind of upload a picture of a historical character and say, who is this? But you certainly can upload a historical monument and ask, what is this? Here's an example I did actually today. I'd invented a company for my design technology class called Fisheye. And I just drew a sketch, uploaded it, and said, can you create a professional looking logo from this diagram? I'm not showing you all the iterations I did, but then I said, I actually want a dark blue background. I want the fish facing to the left-hand side, and I want the text in cursive font face. So you can kind of refine your questions over and over again. So I really like the ability of sketching something quickly and having that turn to be a relevant picture. Another thing you can do is just ask Copilot to create an image. So you might create an image for a poster or for to illustrate something in a PowerPoint you're creating or to add into a student activity. And then you can iterate and refine. So add a picture and then ask it to change it slightly. I just came up with an example today. I wanted to create a poster for my students saying "No hat, no play" with a beautiful looking cartoon quokka. So I just wrote in, create a poster containing a cartoon image of a quokka wearing a sun hat on a school oval with the text "No hat, no play." It was pretty good. The first 3 said no hat, no play. The fourth one said no hat, no pat play. So it can get a little bit confused with text sometimes, but I might then refine that. So I might say, put the school building in the background, have the text on a sign or have the text below the image of the quokka. But really simple. If you can imagine it and you can type it or speak it, Copilot is able to generate that, knowing it's what it's learned all about text. I'm just going to show you right at the top. This is something that just came live a couple of weeks ago. We've just been looking at Copilot, where I'm having a conversation and I'm asking questions and getting responses, and I'm iterating my searching. There's now a tool called Notebook, which allows you to write a longer prompt and keep refining your prompt without having to go through, wait for a response, write a follow-up, wait for a response, write a follow-up. I'm not going to show you now, but I'm just going to mention, click on Notebook if you're looking to do something a little bit longer. So you might copy and paste in a detailed lesson plan you've written and ask for refinements. And then you can just kind of change it around. You can copy from the notebook back to the prompt, and you've got a lot more space to work with. You can have up to 40,000 characters, I think, rather than the original 4,000. The other way that I've used this is when I'm writing an email, I sometimes will copy in a few of my own emails, so it gets to know my voice and the way that I use language. So I'll paste in maybe 3 or 4 emails and say, can you write an email to so-and-so about this, and use the emails below to learn how I write my emails. So I want to keep a bit of my voice there, so it's not totally different to how I normally work. So there's just a bunch of things that I've seen being used in schools with Copilot. As I said, access it via copilot.microsoft.com. And also you can access it via the Copilot web app as well. So that's really all I wanted to share in this section. I'm going to hand over to Kiri in a moment, who's going to talk to you about a couple of other things that are available for schools using AI. So congratulations, you've picked up some tips. We are going to send out the recording of this, and we'll also send some links to some websites and other resources as well. But thanks for now, and I'm going to hand over to Kiri. Thanks, Kiri.
No worries, I'm just going to share my screen and get the PowerPoint loaded. Just bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the AI classroom toolkit. So AI has become a really popular tool in recent times, with both excitement about potential of new tools and concern about their impact. So like with any new technology, it's really, really important that students are educated to use this AI responsibly. For that reason, Microsoft has developed this classroom toolkit. It's called Unlocking Generative AI Safely and Responsibly. They've developed this in partnership with a company called Cyberlight, and it blends engaging narrative stories with instructional information to create a really immersive and effective learning experience. This is aimed at students ages 13 to 15. It really helps teachers initiate those important conversations about responsible AI practices in the classroom. And it covers important topics such as fabrications, privacy considerations, bias awareness, and mental well-being. So I'll show you the table of contents. So it's divided into 4 different sections. Teachers can use this resource in a single lesson. They can teach all 4 sections altogether, or they can break it up into the 4 different parts. So the guide suggests how long each section may take, but extra time is encouraged for discussions and to really get the most out of it. So I'm going to be talking about number 2 today, which is Gina's Fight for the Ocean. This is recommended to take 30 minutes, but again, you probably should allow some extra time for discussions at the end. And it focuses on fabrications and fact checking, as well as using Microsoft Copilot. So this is pretty much about a girl called Gina. There's a little story to go with it. and she wants to use AI to generate an outline for an article on how plastic pollution harms sea turtles. So Gina comes up with this prompt. She says, write an outline for a newspaper article that highlights the consequences of plastic pollution on the sea turtle population. So using Copilot, students are able to have a go at writing a prompt, and they're guided to experiment with what happens to their results after they change certain aspects of the prompt. They might change the tone, they might change the format or the length. And as a class, you can discuss what happens as you change all of this. So it gives you a pre-generated template and highlights that some statements may need further investigation. So that's a good discussion point to have with your students. And then it goes on to educate the students about fabrications and how AI can make mistakes and why fact checking is really a really important part of using AI, and they can't just blindly trust their outputs. Students are then directed to use Search Coach within Teams. So Search Coach is another really good tool that students can use within Teams. And they are directed to fact check the statements and find out which ones are true and which ones are not true. And it goes on to tell them that these two were actually not true. So to access this core toolkit and all the other lessons within it, if you go to Microsoft Learn, which is this website here, click on the Educator Center and scroll all the way down until you find the highlighted instructor materials, and it's just this one here. There's a teacher toolbook and there's also a PowerPoint to go with it as well. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is learning accelerators. So learning accelerators, you can see them all here. They're the tools that have been seamlessly integrated into products you already know and love, like Microsoft Teams, OneNote, PowerPoint, Word, and more. So we don't have time to look at them all today because that would take a very long time, but I'll be showing you Reading Progress and Reading Coach, as well as Reading Coach Preview, which is a new tool that's just been brought out by Microsoft. So the difference between Reading Progress and Reading Coach, they're both free tools that are built into just Microsoft Teams, which is this app here. And they're really designed to help students improve their reading. They were built by teachers and top reading experts. So lots and lots of research has gone into designing these apps. So we'll start with Reading Progress. Reading Progress is designed to support and track reading fluency in students. It's an assignment that is set by teachers within Teams, and it can provide lots of data and insights into how students are progressing. Reading Coach uses data from Reading Progress to support students in practicing the words Reading Progress identifies as challenging. So the AI identifies the words the students have mispronounced, and it uses the AI to find the 5 most challenging words for the students to practice. So the students are able to hear the word, they can stretch the word into syllables, or they can see a picture of these challenging words. So they pretty much encourage independent reading practice in children and older children as well. They provide insights to teachers so they can easily track progress, and they provide students with personalized access to the curriculum, which in turn optimizes teacher time, and it really improves the learning outcomes for the students. So later this month, AI passage generation will be available in Teams. So when setting an assignment, teacher can choose to generate their own passage. They can change the topic, the age, the length, and the language to include the challenging words. So AI generates the passage and the teacher can use the arrows to toggle the complexity. You can see someone doing it on the screen there. So that's going to be coming later this month and it's built into Teams. So Reading Coach Preview is a really new tool that Microsoft has brought out. And again, it's to help with reading. It's very similar to the Reading Coach in Teams, but it's accessible via the web or a desktop app. So AI allows the students to personalize their stories and practice reading out loud. It automatically detects the words the students find challenging, and it incorporates them into the text they create. Students can unlock new characters and story elements as they read, which really, really drives their engagement. They absolutely love it. So when a student logs into Reading Coach Preview, they are presented with all these options. Students can choose to create their own story. They can read a ready-to-go passage from an organisation called ReadWorks. There's a whole library full of their texts, or they can add their own passage. So at the bottom, you can see we've got a little button called Achievements and History. If they click on Achievements, they can see their progress. They can see how they're going, any awards they've achieved, that they will be in there. And if they click on History, they can see the text they've read in the past or they haven't yet completed. So if the student was to click on Create a Story using AI, they would be led to a page which lets them choose their characters and setting, and you can see this here. Once they select their character and setting, they can choose their reading level. So it's reading level from 1 all the way to 8. So a teacher might have to guide a student with this. So once the student has selected characters and their reading level, AI will generate a text. They can click the microphone button at the bottom and they read out loud for up to 10 minutes. The immersive reader settings are available for this. So a student can change the text size. You can see it at the side here. They can change the font, the spacing, and the background colors. At the end of each chapter, once they've read a whole chapter, the students are able to choose the next part of the story. So you can see here it said they can choose option A or option B. If a student would like feedback at any point, they don't have to read for 10 minutes to get their feedback. They can just press the red stop button at the bottom, and that will provide them with their feedback. So it will take them to a page that looks like this. It tells them about their pronunciation accuracy, how long they've been reading for, and words they still need to practice. The student can choose to keep reading, or they can choose to practice their words, or they can pause and exit out of the app and come back to their text at another time. If they choose to practice their words, it will take them to a little screen that has this on. They click on one of the words that they wish to practice. They press the microphone at the button and they read the word out loud. If they get the word right, they're given a green star and it has a nice little noise. And if they get it wrong, it will encourage them to practice again. If they are struggling, they can hear the word being read out loud by pressing the microphone. They can stretch the word into the syllables by pressing the little button in the middle, or they can see a picture of the word. Most words have a picture, some words don't, but most do. AI will then use the words they struggle with and it will incorporate these words into the next chapter. So the student has further practice with them. So how to access Reading Coach Preview. It's available on all devices, whether it's Windows, Chromebooks, Macs, and iPads. Students can access Reading Coach Preview outside of school using a personal Microsoft account. At the moment, for students to use Reading Preview within a school, the IT administrator needs to sign up online. So you have to get whoever your IT administrator is, to go to the website, click on Join the Preview, and they will sign up. They will then be sent instructions on how to enable Reading Coach Preview for the school. Students will then need to log on with their school email address and password using whatever device they have access to. Okay, back to you, Steve-O.
Thank you very much, Kiri. Lots of new exciting things in the learning accelerators that we only touched on one, but I think the search progress and the search coach is really useful as well. That's built into the AI classroom kit that we looked at, and I think such a great tool to explore, particularly for helping with digital literacy. So I'm just going to finish off by saying all of the resources that we've talked about today are available on this website, education.microsoft.com. Obviously, we've had a very a Microsoft-centric tour today, and the main thing is I know particularly the Department of Education and TAFEs in WA use these tools and have access to them already. So it's just a great tool that you can pick up and use. There is now an AI for Education section on the Microsoft Learn site specifically for educators. So if we go on to this section here, there is online training. There are all sorts of guides. So if you want to become better at writing prompts and iterating, there's tools there. If you want to actually explore the background of AI and how you can use it for teaching and learning, there's videos and online courses and all of that sort of stuff. Just a couple of things before we finish. This is something very exciting that we're launching in WA this year. It's been run in Victoria for a few years, and this is a design thinking challenge that we have launched, or we've done a soft launch about a week ago, and we've got 3 schools signed up so far. So we want to help students in years 4 to 8 learn about creating products and services using the design thinking process. So we put together a kind of competition, a challenge, and students in term 3 are going to work on a particular project, and we're going to have the final in Perth on Sunday, the 27th of October. We have got some great prizes, but more importantly, we've got some great experts from industry who are experts in engineering, designing, as well as these topics of transport, waste and food. And we can offer free workshops with students and staff during term 2 and 3. And we're also going to have some exclusive videos from some special guests. So if you are interested in using design thinking, or you use it in your school and want your students to work on something, check out the website and find out a bit more there. We're also offering discounts on workshops. We do a lot of workshops with both students and staff. So if you book this term for next term, we've got discounts for you. That'll be coming up in a follow-up email. We also share resources and tips, videos on social media. So check out Standout Education on Facebook, Insta and LinkedIn, and we've got classroom posters and videos and things that you can use. So I just want to say thanks to Solutions IT for running this and letting us share some of the things that we've done. I hope you have found that useful. We'll send the recording, the resources, and we'll check if there's any questions that we have yet to answer, and we'll get those sent out to you. So back to you, Sarah.
Well, thank you so much, both Kiri and Stephen. That was very informative, even for me. I use AI all the time, but I haven't really delved into Copilot, so I'm definitely going to be checking that out. As Stephen has mentioned, we will send the recording out via an email with the offers and the information that Stephen has just talked about. So just thank you all again. Really lovely to see all these names that are so familiar to us and see some of your faces. And we'll be in touch with the next great event that we've got lined up, which I'll be sending out information about to you all soon too. Thank you.